And action. All right, let's get into it. Yep. We're going to talk about episode 13.
Yep, season 18, Chicago.
Yes.
So,
you want to start us off?
Yeah, so, the couples, they have another meet with Pia, basically. That's kind of the episode. Oh, we'll see the goings-on in the episode. But each couple meets with Pia and some other things. So, let's go to MM and Ike. So they meet up at the ice cream shop, which is a little awkward because they haven't really talked since, they talked since the reconciling that Pia and Cal forced them to do. It's like they don't want to be in the marriage anymore. Why are they? I guess they agreed to move back in with each other, but they haven't, and rightfully so, because they both don't want to. Ike's never put in any effort, so why would they continue to try? And so many bridges are burned. But anyway, they still have to pretend like they're a married couple for the check, maybe.
And you could tell they both came from separate places in a cab or an Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, he brings cards. He wants to be like, okay, let's play this game.
Yeah.
And then she notices something as he's dealing the cards. What does she notice?
She noticed he doesn't have his ring on.
Doesn't have his ring. So she asks about it, but also you can tell she's walking on eggshells still. So she just leaves it at that, because he answers, "Oh, I was washing my hands. I just forgot it."
Yeah. She is offended because it indicates he's not committed, but he's not. He's not committed, girl. Like, he hasn't been committed. And why does she keep calling him her husband? And I thought she said last episode that she wasn't gonna call him her husband anymore, but whatever.
Yeah. But the last symbol of their marriage
was the ring.
Is the ring.
I guess
so. I feel like it's still hitting her.
Yeah. And so I guess he's going to homecoming or in Houston, and so they're in Chicago, so he's going to Houston for the weekend. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll call you if anything, or I'll tell you that I made it safe." And he doesn't do any of that, obviously. He's never the one to initiate. So then she calls Pia, and says that Ike hasn't moved in, and she actually has been living at her own space too, and Pia's confused. She's like, "Is there any part of you that wants to check in on him?" I'm like, "No, do not make MM check on this man who doesn't want to be there."
Like pulling teeth.
So, and then Pia says, "We'll just have to wait till he gets back." I'm like,
"Oh, because he went to a homecoming.
Yeah,
a couple thousand miles, 100 miles away."
Yeah. She also said like, that's how or something like, the fact that he didn't want to invite me, like, is telling.
So he's gonna go by himself, and not bring her.
She said that's telling. I think probably what was telling was him calling her an a-hole at the anniversary, but whatever. They're exhausting, and it seems like it's dwindling down. They're having less airtime, so that's good, because
thankfully it's hard to watch.
I should not be on this show. Anyway,
moving on to our favorite couple,
Camille and Thomas.
So a lot of what we see is just their healthier marriage going to deeper places. Yeah. So, they're of course the healthier of the group, in that they have intimacy, they're connecting, they're communicating, they don't stonewall, they don't do any of those things to shut each other off.
Yeah.
In fact, they do the opposite. They get deeper and more intimate. That's basically the gist of it. But you can definitely.
Yeah, some things that I noticed, like, they were giving each other massages with the massage gun, but she was not going easy on him. Like, I've noticed that as a pattern with her. She likes to, like, go hard on, I don't know if that's how she is in relationships, but at least on Thomas.
Going, so he just goes with it.
Like, he wanted the setting on 1, he put it on 4, and she kept putting on 4. It's like, this kind of, like, torture, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd want that. I don't think that's good, but, it seems like, whatever works for them, but I just am like, why would you do something that he doesn't want you to do if it's uncomfortable? But
well, I feel like just the complexity of it is a little simpler in that, it's consensual. He's like, "Oh, went exactly as I expected." So, there's nothing that breaks any boundaries for him. Yeah. And if he needed to speak up, he would have.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. I guess he puts, like, they what happens? Pia talks to them. They talk about that they continue to be intimate, and then they talk about like just different ways that they like with intimacy. Camille says that she doesn't really have any boundaries, and then Thomas says that says that he is giving, but he wants her to be more giving. So yeah, that's
sexually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So they're gonna. I don't know. I don't really know how that. I think she said it's gonna come with time, and he.
He's like, I'm willing.
He's willing.
He says.
What do you think about that? I mean, you don't have to. We don't have to go into the details of what they actually talked about, but what do you think about the fact that he's already like giving at that point, and she's not? Like.
Well, I think Dr. Pia keeps opening doors for them, including how they relate to each other in the bedroom. And when they dig into it, and Camille reveals, like, a lot of it is just from, her parents divorced when she was younger. She had to be the domineering type, and that kind of translates to some of her preferences. And I feel like this is probably the only chance, or one of the first chances, where she's gotten the opportunity to explore that with a partner like Thomas, who is giving, and he's patient. I think he gives her the space to discover that. So I feel like just because it's early in their relationship, that I think it will take time, and that it will balance.
Okay. Yeah. I could see that point. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's hard to really say it right now, because it's like, yeah, I guess time will tell. But I don't know. I just feel like she continues, like she puts the avocado in his mouth. It's like, you put the skin in there. Like, that's so uncomfortable. I was like, if you ever did that to me, I'd be like,
no.
I'll never do that to you. But I just think that's, yes, promise. And so, but he does a better job, I think, in that department. He's way more giving, and it showed. And I don't have to explain it. If you've seen it, you see what he does. But I feel like that's a lot, more of a.
Yeah, he can take what she dishes. So.
Yeah. So that's all for them. I mean, they're smooth sailing pretty much.
Yeah, so far.
So that's good. Next couple, Madison and Alan. So they probably had besides Michelle and David, I think they had the most happen. Actually, they had the most happen this episode, Madison and Alan.
Yeah. So in the past, one of the triggers for Madison was Alan's drinking, but it wasn't that he has a problem with it, or that he doesn't know his limits. It's that for her, it's a trigger, and that's she's seen people go down that path, and it hasn't been healthy for her to be a part of that. So when they were having their disagreement, I don't think Alan was seeing the depth to which it affected her, and that comes up again here, where they talk about how they just trigger each other in certain ways. So Dr. Pia visits them. She gives them an assignment. Some things. Basically, they don't go to the level of Camille and Thomas in intimacy, but more like trust. Like, do you trust each other? Yeah. And some of the conversations those starter questions kind of that were meant to bring out that kind of intimacy. Yeah. Kind of as a stopping point. Do you want to get into that? Yeah. So when they do the exercise, I don't know. I mean, they didn't really get through the exercise. I mean, the first question was, does he like dirty talk? And he said no. Second question, talked about, foreplay, and she was like open to everything except for like sadist stuff. And then they go into talking about like how, or he comes and talks about it, and I was like, oh gosh, what he's about to say. He's like, I don't want this to come off any type of way. And she's like, okay, I'll try not to, but I'll try not to take it any type of way. I was like, when he said that, I was like, ah. But he said that he thought when they first met, first impression is that she was transactional. Specifically in a sexual sense. Yeah. That she was a transactional sexual person. Yeah. Which is another way. I don't think she misinterpreted that in any way. Yeah. She was like, oh, so basically I'm a prostitute. Yeah. Which is like crazy for him to say. And he even had the forethought to warn her, like, this might not sound great, and then just continue to say it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a bit of a point there too, where I feel like he is lashing out a little bit from the lack of intimacy that he's feeling, because going back to what he said earlier about like not liking dirty talk, I don't feel like it's because it makes him uncomfortable. I just feel like it's because it's the exact opposite of what he needs. I feel like he's a verbal affirmation kind of person, and anything like that, I think is shuts him down. But I feel like he's lashing out here when he says that to her. I think he knows what he's saying.
You do?
I think he knows what he's saying. I think he wants to get a rise out of her.
I can see that,
Yeah, and just to like move the needle in some direction.
Yeah.
And I think his hope ultimately, I think he does care about her. He wants to move it forward. But I think he just wants something out of her. Like a reaction.
I could see that, because I don't know why he really would say that, except maybe to get that rise out of her. And I didn't even catch it at first when he said transactional, and then he followed it up by superficial. My mind didn't go to like prostitute, but you know, obviously we see that that's how she took it, because she got upset, and he even like, I don't know, he didn't double down, but he was just like, yeah, well, he's like, well, you're not, but you're not though. He's like, it's not like you're sleeping with other people. And I was like, oh. But that, but anyway, that
more
ended.
on that later.
But he takes his dog out for a walk because it's kind of awkward. She starts crying. She's frustrated because everybody receives her like a party girl, and she thought that Alan would be the one to like see her in a different way,
and to uplift her and encourage her.
Yeah,
and that was the opposite of that.
But I mean, are we being real? Like, I don't know if she was really gonna get there. And she's like, we had the chance, like, and you ruined it.
What do you think? You think she's
I think she's gonna be looking for a way out. Yeah. Because there wasn't a real out yet. Like, I mean, kind of, but they got along. I mean, they didn't have the attraction going, but it's like, it wasn't like a real, like, now it's like, yes, because you call me that, or you think of me that way, I can never be with somebody who thinks of me that way. So that's her out. And I'm like, okay.
Like she needed a PR kind of thing to give her an excuse.
Yeah. And so so they spend the night apart. She goes out. She says she has to make a call. And then she's still not back. I think she returns at like 3 something, or I don't know.
3 a.m.
Yeah, 3 a.m.
And she brushes it off too when he confronts her about that. Because he was upset with her being gone for as long as she was. Upset because they left things in the air. They didn't clear the air, and she didn't come back till 3, so he was worried. You could tell in that second conversation that he regrets what he said, and then he does care about her.
Yeah.
Still. And he still is not really good with the tactics of how to talk to her, though.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I could see both sides, because it's like, I know that he was going in there. I think he maybe should have like just took the whole time to listen to hear her out, instead of like bringing his feelings into it, which are valid. But I think perhaps that conversation could have just been to sort of apologize. But I think he wanted to kill 2 birds in 1 stone, like apologize to her, but also make sure that he feels understood by her, and the things that he feels like. I guess he feels like when she says something about him, like him being a pushover and stuff like that, like they get through it, even though it could be a little bit offensive to him, like, you know, it's something they can get through. But when it's with her, like, then, like, if something happens like that, then it's like the end of the world type of thing. And I guess those are 2 sort of different things, or maybe they're not. I don't know in a guy's world if being called a pushover is equal. No, it's not equal to that. But
not really.
Yeah, it's not equal to that at all. I was trying to, you know.
Well, I feel like it's different being seen as the weakest man in the room among men than the most sensitive woman who gets her way by using her physical talents, so to speak. I think that was a deeper dig on her than it would have been for him. Yeah,
that's true. It could, that's true. I agree.
But it does make sense though how like because I forget her job, but it's like a corporate environment, it sounds like, or it's some kind of way in which she felt like she wasn't, like she's in her daily life, she's not taken seriously.
Yeah.
And going back to the comment about her being a transactional person, it's triggering for her because everything she's gotten by her own merits, despite the barrier of her assuming like she's not competent. I'm assuming that's what the feeling was, and that she, or worse, that she got to where she was, not by her talent but by her looks, things like that. And and that's something she's been trying to overcome, and expected of all people for Alan to have her back.
Yeah.
And he just didn't. I think this is just a case of them just not communicating. But of course or knowing each other's triggers in that sense, or knowing them and still like crossing the line just to get a reaction. Yeah,
I think it's the hard part about marrying a stranger, because it's like she had this expectation for him to see her like as she is, or as she, believes she is. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just so quick, and he probably shouldn't. I don't think he should have brought that up. Should have just kept it to himself, or I don't know. I don't know. But anyway,
it's messy. Yeah. And they clean it up. They do talk and apologize. I forget what brought them to that point.
Yeah, I mean, they had
a third try for that same conversation.
Yeah, the second conversation, she walked out because she was upset. She wasn't feeling heard. And she was like, just have some empathy for me, when he calls her out for coming back at 3. So, so then they come back, he apologizes again. And this time he doesn't put his own thing in it. He just kind of like apologizes, and then they're able to like work it out, and they hug.
But not for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah. 5 second hug.
He still has to earn that, I think.
Yeah. So, and I think also she was like, we're not going back to square zero, but
square one.
I'm taking you back. Like, so I don't know. I mean, she didn't want him anyway, so.
She's opting out.
Yeah, that's that.
Okay. As we transition to Michelle and David, I do wonder, where was she until 3 a.m.? Did she talk about it?
No, probably with David.
She brushed it off. She's like, it's 3 a.m., just have empathy. Doesn't address the question.
Yeah, it's a little.
Doesn't. They just. I think Alan's way forward is just to go with her, just like, okay, we're just to leave it where it is. But you're saying that maybe she was with David.
Yep.
Okay. So transitioning to Michelle and David.
Yep. So we first see Michelle on a solo cam talking about like, I'm going to bring up the situation with David to the girls. And she's like on this. I mean, I know that he was lying, but it's just like, it's not even that she's hurt or she's like heartbroken. It's just her ego. Like, it's her.
She can't take it.
Yeah, she can't take it. She needs to be right, especially because she's been shown in a bad light. She probably feels guilty for, not liking David and being so vocal about it. So I feel like this is her like win.
So she's tripling down on this.
Yes.
And she's not without reason, because David gives a poor excuse, talking about the video, the photo that he was referring to in the text as just being food. And it's just like, looks so good, I'm going to eat you up.
Yeah, you don't take your pet in that.
Yeah, you don't call food by... Yeah. You don't give food a pronoun. Anything other than it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, she dives in, tries to confront David, both before they meet with the experts and with the experts.
Yeah. And even with the girls, like, they were talking, and, she was like, I don't know. Like, and I guess Madison and Carla were with him. But I think Madison was with her longer, because Carla had met up like closer to the time where, maybe they were leaving or something like that.
So we're referring to when they were all together when the text had happened.
Yeah.
David, Madison, and who? Camille?
Alan. Alan was there. I don't know where they were, but I guess Alan and Madison and David were hanging out, and then Carla and Juan maybe came later or something like that. But, she was just like, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think happened? You guys were with him. Like, what happened? And then Madison was like, oh, yeah, well, he was helping me, like, look for my phone. So I didn't have my phone. I was just like, I don't know how they're going to do this.
Apparently she lost it. So, that kind of gives her cover, and that she wouldn't have been able to be doing any of that if she didn't have her phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What
Ooh,
kind of game
this is
she's
gonna be
playing.
interesting. Carla's like, the truth will come out. So I don't know. I don't know what she even knows, what Carla even knows. But so
David also doubles down. He denies everything, admits nothing.
Yeah, and you could tell Alan's not really buying it. He's like, yeah, but it kind of seems like.
Yeah, that's not how you talk to food. It's like what we're all thinking. Alan's the voice of reason in that. But also, like David, also when he's confronted by Michelle about hanging out with other people, exes who he met on Tinder in the past, and having coffee with him presently, he doesn't deny. Yeah. That's the one thing he doesn't deny. Yeah. I think he's also over, like he doesn't care. Yeah. Except for this thing, because I think he's trying, as Dr. Pia confronts him. Or no, Pastor Cal.
Cal does.
He confronts him, yeah.
You know, I also, Madison says to Michelle, oh, go easy on David. I was like, what? So anyway, that's another little thing where it's like, side-eyeing girl.
Who knows though? It could be the producers putting us in one direction, and maybe it's Carla, maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's a producer. Yeah. Who knows?
Sorry, I keep on pushing back the Pastor Cal meeting, but we can.
So Michelle is happy to have Pastor Cal as a witness to their conversation. Pastor Cal sees right through David and his BS. He even calls it BS, and he's like, okay, well, you can't trust each other. This is an issue of trust. Would it help to just show the receipts? And
he's like, no, I don't want you because I don't.
It would help Michelle. Michelle says, yeah, but David says, yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm just over with it. If that's how you see me, that's how it is.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you just see me how you see me. It's like, okay. Yeah. And also she tells Pastor Cal that it's a trigger for her because her parents divorced due to infidelity. All I can say is okay, because like I feel like if it was somebody she really cared about and they cheated on her, then she would be like, I don't know, who's to say how they react. But we've seen that Michelle has not, even before this, has not like wanted to be with David. So I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like,
I think it's to the level of like, it's not like I think they both know that the marriage wasn't gonna last. But I think for her, it's just a level of respect. Like it's just a matter of respect and dignity. Like he's not meeting her at that level.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing too, because it's like, oh man, I don't like this guy. Like maybe she could be on her high horse looking down on him, but then he's cheating on her, so she can't really be on that anymore.
She's not on a high horse anymore. Yeah. I think she liked it up there.
Yeah, she did. So I think it's more embarrassment. But then they talk with Pastor Cal about the fact that he is like talking to some of his friends or keeping up with his friendships from Tinder. And
those aren't friendships.
And he was like, that's ridiculous. Like that girl is in a relationship, so why would you think anything of that? Well, I'm like, well, you're in a marriage, and I don't know. Why
apparently
why
that's like a hands-off kind of situation, but clearly he doesn't assume that.
And David says that her comments, like just throughout the marriage, made him feel like suppressed, so that he has to suppress all this information. What do you think?
Oh yeah, exactly that. They're not growing in communication anymore, or they only got to the surface level and never like dug in any deeper. Yeah. Just because I feel like it all started with Michelle stonewalling, and David had no place to go, so he found it. Yeah. It's a survival tactic. Yeah. And now it's just a battle of egos.
He should have just been upfront about it though.
Yeah. That's true.
Like it's really embarrassing to watch him, like secondhand embarrassment watching him like be in this spiral of a lie. I thought it was interesting that Michelle said the door hadn't been closed for her. Like she was still trying to make the relationship work, up until the text. And I'm like, girl, come on.
No.
And
it's like at a hotel, you have that little the little latch instead of the door key. Yeah, it's like she still had that on, so she has like the little crack in the door for David to peek in. It was never. I don't think anyone saw that as true. Yeah, even her.
And so David's like, Cal's like, can you call the cousin? He's like, no, I don't want to call the cousin because I don't want to bring her into this. And then he's like, okay, well, Michelle, you call the cousin.
If you need a drink and he's not giving it to you, find it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. So then she calls her, and her cousin is up front and says, you know what? Like, he did ask me to cover for him, but I didn't know what I was covering for. And then after I found out what it was, I said, no way, like, I can't do this. So props to her for being honest.
Yeah. So for David, it goes from an omission of the truth to an outright deception when he's asking for Denise to cover for him.
Yeah. That's just shows like, he was what do you call it? Not conspiracy.
He's conspiring.
Conspiracy. That's crazy.
So, I mean, I know it doesn't seem like a respectful thing. I'm not saying it is, but Michelle didn't give him much choice. No, that's not true. I'm not saying it like that.
I know what you mean.
She boxed him into a corner, and he just reverted back to his usual past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, it is disrespectful. I don't. But she has to be real. Like, they weren't going to get married anyway. It's really just an ego thing, and we've talked about that, a million times over. So yeah, that's what it is. They're not going to be together. So I guess I just want to get to the point where we can really see if David and Madison are actually, talking at this point. So let's move on to the next couple, Juan and Carla. So Carla, she hosts all the girls with the yoga. They do a sound bath. She guides them to meditate and like release. And it's a good time. And that's where they have all the talks about all their relationships. But we're going to skip to Juan and Carla at the apartment.
Dr. Pia?
Yeah, with Dr. Pia.
You can see Juan is super nervous, as he always is with Dr. Pia.
Yes.
Before we dive in, why do you think he's like one of the more nervous ones in front of her?
Well, he said himself he doesn't like hard questions. So I think it's just the fact that he knows that he doesn't like Carla, and but he wants to have to keep an appearance.
The game up, yeah.
So if somebody's asking you questions to kind of get to the bottom of what your relationship is, that's a little bit anxiety.
Yeah. The hard question being, do you care about her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you love her? Are you attracted to her?
Or what are you doing to make this work?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like it's a theme, like, Ike and Juan, and I guess that's maybe just those two. Yeah, because David, he's his own story, whatever. So, yeah. They catch Pia up, say they had lunch with Carla's parents and stuff like that, and they're kind of going all into like sort of more trivial details, and Pia's like, okay. Right,
back to the question.
Yeah, back to the question. Like, is that making you feel more like a married couple? Are you guys feeling more like that? And she's like, yeah, and she said something like, I asked because, I saw on Carla's story, like, if she was with the guy, she was with the man, almost like, humping on a man. And Juan, are you okay with that? He's like, oh yeah, I'm okay with that. And honestly, I think those guys are gay. So, So
she gave a list of all of her guy friends, and she did mention that.
Even when we met them at the home, or their housewarming, I was like, oh yeah, they're all not like that, but they just had that, whatever.
I think like they were open about their sexuality.
Yeah.
I do want to have a caveat though. Like, if I was one, no matter who, that I feel like that would be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Carla is just that type of person, I guess, where that boundary. If anything, also, whatever Juan is not giving her in terms of intimacy or holding hands or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to where she can find it.
Yeah.
Which is,
I think Carla even demonstrates what she was doing. He was like,
Carla.
She's like, thank you for the visual. Carla's just a free spirit. Yeah. So anyway, Pia gives them an exercise to do for tantric yoga, and Carla's like, oh yeah, cool, I'm open to it. And Juan's like, Carla's like, yes, I'm excited to do it. And Juan's like, I could be open to it depending on what it is.
Do I have to touch her?
Yeah, right. Because when they try to look up different poses, like before they actually do the tantric yoga.
Google it, and he's just like, hold hand, one hold hand.
Don't look at each other. Hold on.
That's tantric yoga.
Yeah, tantric
Intimacy.
yoga. Okay, yeah. And
he's like, I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they actually get down to it.
Mm-hmm.
What's weird about it is there's a third person.
Yeah.
An older woman.
Yeah.
And I say that respectfully. She had gray hair, and she was doing her thing. She seemed of the same energy as Carla.
Yeah.
Which Carla, of course, enjoyed because that's her environment, that's her personality. But Juan just made jokes out of it.
Yeah,
he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to kind of touch each other with the roses. He was like, pop,
Essentially, yeah.
pop, or
She's laughing and stuff, but it's like that's not what.
Yeah, and he calls her dude and bro, and I hate that so much. I just wish that he'd at least call her by her name if he doesn't want to say babe or hun or something like that. But bro, dude,
I even feel weird calling you by your name.
Yeah.
In the third person when you're in the room.
Exactly.
Like bro
that's
and
just
dude.
That's just like the baseline to call her by her name.
Yeah.
You can't even do that.
Neutral. It's
Yeah. So, yeah. But that's pretty much, Carla's disappointed at the fact that he doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And, Carla being an affectionate person, that's a no-go, I think, just for their relationship, if he can't be affectionate, so.
Yeah. I feel like what we've seen with them, just as we wrap up, I feel like what we've seen with this last couple is Carla's needs aren't getting met. She's finding it elsewhere in a way that it seems like it's fine. He's fine with it, but I don't think he should be fine. I think if he did care in the way that a husband would, he would draw a boundary and say, hey, this is between you and me.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He just makes light of all things as he does.
Yeah.
Just that's the way he copes, and that's the way he just rolls. So interesting development. Who do you think is going to implode first? Which couple?
I mean, we've already seen him and Ike implode already, and David and Michelle. So you mean next, next is Madison and Alan.
Yeah. Well, Ike and MMs haven't yet because he's not there.
I feel like I call that an implosion already, or explosion really. So, but we will. I think next week, because we have the previews. I guess they go on their retreat. They always go on the annual retreat. And Michelle is drilling into Madison, so,
it's gonna explode.
Hey,
first.
have you ever kissed anybody outside of your marriage or since you've been married? And Madison's I don't want to be here, type of thing. So I was like, ooh, they're gonna get into, ooh. I didn't see it coming, Madison and Michelle being at odds.
Yep.
But it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. We'll be back to do another review of next week. But until then, we'll see you later.
See you next time. All right.